depict adultery, and, in about 200 pages. I feel the novel is not that sort of thing. The novel is a big thing. The novel is big. And America has shown us that. It's been possible in America to produce big novels. In Europe, rather more difficult, because we don't have the chance of huge advances. We don't get subsidized by universities. America has the chance, and I think it's taken it.
I think you say that anybody can write a first novel. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that everybody has enough experience of life, and more particularly a childhood which is a kind of allegory of everybody else's childhood, to enable them to have at least enough material for a first novel. I think when you really start writing professionally, you face this terrible hurdle of the second novel, and the third, and the fourth, and so it goes on. I do believe that anybody can write a first novel. They may not do it very well, but everybody has enough inside them to produce one work of fiction. After as I say, the initial essay in fiction, then you really have to work. You have to start using your imagination and not just your memory. And that's the problem of any professional writer like myself.
We don't have very much time, so I'm kind of skipping around a little bit. But I wanted to ask you about Earthly Powers, which was a novel that was very well received here in the United States. And this one has the main character is an elderly homosexual.
Yeah.
And I was interested in that because presumably you are not homosexual.
No, I'm not, actually. Well, I mean, nowadays one is allowed to be, I gather. Most women I meet in New York tell me that every New York male is homosexual. I don't believe that's true. There must be, I suppose, a big influx from California. No, I have no homosexual tendencies at all, but I was always fascinated before I wrote this book by the possibility that Somerset Maugham, W. Somerset Maugham, really, a big bestseller, who was thoroughly homosexual, what would have happened if his brother-in-law had been Pope John? And out of that bizarre image came the possibility of a book. But we never really know what we're doing. We have to leave so much to the unconscious mind. They sit down at the blank page and put words on it, and then suddenly something emerges, and a plan emerges very frequently. The book was difficult to write, and now I face, in old age, the writing of another, even bigger book, which I don't think I'm really capable of. Yes, I think so.
I think so.
My 30th novel, then I'll shut up.
I think you're capable of it. Well, William Styron ran across a problem when he wrote a book called Confessions of Nat Turner.
Nat Turner, yeah.
In which his narrator was a black man facing execution for leading a rebellion in, I believe, North Carolina or Virginia.
Yeah.
And he was criticized for writing this book because he was told that he had no business writing about a black because he was white. And I just wonder if you ran across the same kind of criticism for writing about...
Well, I think, yes, indeed. That's a very good point indeed, because when I was working in America at various universities, conducting creative writing classes, as they're called, I don't think there can be such a thing, but they say that it's possible. I don't think so. Anyway, I was in one particular class. I think it was the University of New York at Buffalo, and the class contained ladies, women, and blacks, males, and black women too. And I was told the same thing. I was told that no man could write a novel in which the woman was the chief character. I said, how about Madame Bovary? How about Natasha in War and Peace? Well, he was a man, therefore ipso facto. These aren't really women. And then the black said, no white man could write a book about a black. And I said, I think I could. No, you couldn't, man, and so on. And I felt, God, how narrow we're becoming. They'd forbid Jack London to write from the inside of a prairie dog, because nobody knows what a prairie dog is like. We've got to take the chance, I think. We've got to assume that we know what a homosexual is like, even if we don't, and that even a man knows what a woman is like. I think the next novel I have ready is written from the viewpoint of a woman. I leave it to women to tell me whether I'm right or wrong. I don't think they will say that I'm wrong.
Besides, in fiction, you're allowed to take risks.
Not too many.
Well, you can do that in a way that you can't do in other areas.
But you mustn't make errors. You mustn't commit errors if you can avoid it. We all will do, of course. But if you get a street number, if you get a street wrong in New York, if you get a geographical fact wrong, I don't think it matters terribly much. When you get psychology wrong, then you're in trouble.
Well, in our waning moments, let me ask you a couple of personal questions, if I can.
Yeah.
You had a major scare in 1959 when you were told that you had A brain tumor.
That's right.
Tell me about that and what happened.
It's a curious story. I don't. It's so complicated, the story. It's very hard to summarize briefly. But I was working in Borneo at the time. Indeed, I was working in the oil state of Brunei, which has now become very powerful, I gather. There I was teaching American history, as a matter of fact, believe it or not, to young Brunei Malays who didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I remember one day I was so frustrated with the heat, with the boredom, and with the impossibility of the job that I just lay down on the classroom floor and said, in effect, right, I'm a corpse, take over. And they did take over, and I was given certain tests which seemed to show that possibly I had a brain tumor. I was sent back to England, to the Neurological Institute in London, and there they said, yes, you probably have a brain tumor, we can't get at it, so we'd better give you a year to live, to cover ourselves. So I had this year to live. Couldn't get a job, obviously. There were no prospects. So I just became a professional writer. But it's still